This is Mark Guerrero. Welcome to East L.A. Music Stories. My guest today is Fito de la Parra, the longtime drummer and longtime leader of Canned Heat, the legendary blues band. And he fits into the East LA Stories idea simply because he knew about it, was influenced by some of the artists, and Canned Heat played in East LA on more than one occasion. Welcome, Fito. How are you?
Oh, doing great. A little hot, we have this California weather.
Yes,
Everything okay? Thank you. It's
it's
nice to
good.
be here with you.
And how's your cat? Your cat's another
This
guest.
is Bonita. I
Yeah.
have her on my lap so she will not make noise because you know how these Siamese cats are.
You know
She
how
she
cats are, yeah.
demands attention and then she's going to be making noise.
Yeah.
Sooner or later she'll get bored
Yeah,
and she'll
exactly.
talk. She'll
Yeah.
jump up and then she'll leave us alone. Maybe she's enjoying the 17 years old. Look at her.
She
Still
looks
healthy. Still,
very young, looks very
I'm
youthful.
keeping her alive.
And we're trying to still have ourselves as well.
Yes, as we're keeping ourselves alive
That's
too.
another task. Um, so you originally were born in Mexico, and did you grow up in Mexico City?
Mexico City, yes. I'm a pinche chilango.
Chilango, I said. Órale. That's right. So how did you get interested in music as a child?
Well, the very beginning was my father's influence since I was a kid, even in around 8, 9 years old. He used to take me to see all these movies about the swing bands and the music thing of the US. He really liked American culture and he liked American music a lot. He was more into that than into Mexican music. So he will take me to see all these movies, the Benny Goodman story, the Glenn Miller story. Then I remember another one called Orchestra Wives, a classic black and white that had the original Glenn Miller band on it and all that. The Gene Krupa
I was
story.
going to mention that. I'm sure
Yeah,
you
of
saw
course.
that.
I was not going to go through my life without seeing the Gene Krupa story. So that's how it all started. My dad, he liked to put that thing in me, but he wanted me to have this as a hobby. He never really expected me to become a professional musician. So, like most of our parents, they say, okay, music as a hobby is okay, but don't
Right.
take it too seriously because she used to say the music business is very cruel.
You'll never make a living at it.
Yeah,
Um, so did the Gene Krupa story have an influence on you going to drums?
absolutely. I've always followed Gene Krupa, not only for the Gene Krupa story, but I had, my dad had all these Benny Goodman records. And I was familiar with the famous Sing Sing Sing, live at uh, where was the theater in New York, Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yes.
That's a famous show of Benny Goodman and Gene Krupa. That was recorded live is one of the famous things. And the famous Sing Sing Sing. So I started listening to drums and drum solos and all that. Gene Krupa was my first influence.
So at what point did you get drums and become a drummer?
Well, I was about 13 years old when I got my first drum kit. I talked about it earlier. Actually, my first drum kit was cookie tins and cardboard boxes. I assembled my own drum kit. I guess I must have been about 11, 12 years old then. And I wanted to play. My dad gave me this record, which is a great influence on me too, that famous yellow record of a specialty called Here Is Little Richard.
Uh,
I'm sure you've seen it. It's one of the most
right.
famous rock and roll records.
I
And
still,
my dad bought that for me, and then I started. I assembled my own set. I didn't have any lessons, so I didn't even know how to put it together, but I managed to play it somehow. I remember I used to use as a symbol one of those old-fashioned 50s ashtrays that used to have there. They were
Oh
with
yeah, I remember those.
vivid colors. You
Yeah.
remember, real campy, real campy, like, with bright colors, bright colors, and they were made of metal. So I would hit him with my drumsticks, whatever drumsticks I had, and they sounded like a cymbal. So yeah, cookie tins and cardboard boxes was my first drum kit. I started working professionally, I joined bands. We started with garage bands in Mexico City, very similar to here in America. We were middle class kids growing in a large city and totally immersed in this new music that came from the North. I mean, rock and roll was something very, very new. And also, my father, of course, took me to see Bill Haley and the Comets
Wow.
the first time they came to Mexico City.
Wow.
And that was it. That was it. When I got into it, it was not only the Benny Goodman and Gene Krupa stuff, but then Bill Haley and his music totally conquered us.
So at what point did you get an actual trap set?
Around 13, 14 years old, I started playing, and we were very lucky to have a record agreement. There was a contest of all these different bands, these different rock and roll bands, and we were singing in Spanish and copying mainly American hits. So we would translate it to Spanish and copy them as good as we could. We were younger than teenagers. We were 13, 14 years old, and we play in a garage, and we had one amplifier, and we plug everything into the one amplifier. We put a
Yeah,
mouse
we did
on
that
the
too.
piano,
Vocal, guitar, bass.
everything. Yeah, that's right, that's right.
We did that.
That was the beginning. Maybe you went through something similar too.
Oh, definitely, exactly.
But I guess here in the US, you had more access to more things and more
Probably.
amplifiers and the music too and all that. But in Mexico, we did what we could and we were doing great. We were having a great time, and the rock en español thing became very big, especially in Mexico City.
Now, who are some of the big rock stars, Mexican rock stars that you guys liked?
Well, so there's one Los Locos del Ritmo, were probably the first band that actually made original rock and roll. They were not copying American songs. They were making their own rock and roll songs in Spanish. So they were a great band, very good, and they used to dance and play at the same time. So they made all this parts where they were dancing and running on the stage and back and forth, and it was quite a show to see them. So that was Los Locos del Ritmo, and then it was, of course, Los Tin Tops that had Enrique Guzman. You probably have heard of
Yes,
him.
yes.
Enrique Guzman was the singer, and they were also very popular. But Los Tin Tops did translate American songs into Spanish. They didn't do original material.
Okay.
Los Locos del Ritmo were really pretty much the only ones that were doing original material in those times. And then there was another band called Los Sinners, which was a good quality band too, that I joined later on when I was around 15, 16. I joined Los Sinners.
Hmm.
Uh, they also had hit records and Los Crazy Boys. That was another one, Los Crazy Boys. And remember the Los always, okay? All the Mexican bands have the
Right.
Los. Even now,
Yeah, La
Los
Chicana
Lonely
bands.
Boys, Los Lobos, you know?
Yeah,
Remember the Los.
that's it. That's it.
But yeah, basically those were Locos del Ritmo, Crazy Boys, Los Sinners, Los Rebeldes del Rock. They were part of the Johnny Laboriel and the
Yes.
Laboriel family. You might have heard of his brother, Abraham Laboriel, which came to
Yes, yes, yes.
and became a great bass player, great
And
musician.
Abe's son is drummer for Paul McCartney now.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, Los Rebeldes del Rock had Johnny Laboriel and the Tena brothers, and basically those are the most important bands that I just mentioned.
So this would be a good time to mention your documentary. You did a fantastic thing called Rock and Roll Made in Mexico, and I'll show the cover right now on the screen. And you gave this to me years and years ago when we first met, and it's a fantastic documentary about the scene in Mexico all through the 60s. I was amazed too that there was even like a Mexican Woodstock, right? I never knew that till I saw this
Yeah,
documentary.
yeah, that was later on the
Yeah,
late 60s.
I highly recommend this DVD, and it's probably still available, right?
Yeah, it's available in the Can Heat website, canheatmusic.com.
Okay. So what were the venues when you were like a teenager in Mexico City, throughout your teens? What kind of venues were you playing?
In the beginning, basically, we played private parties because
Yeah,
the very beginning of Mexican rock started with jazz people, the jazz artists. They were older and they were adults.
yeah. Like Bill Haley
So
and the Comets were jazz guys.
yeah, of course, and then there was Gloria Rios, of course, who was known as the most important woman rock and roller in Mexico. And she used to have a band with jazz guys, jazz, Mario Patron, or people that play jazz music. They really didn't sound as truly rock and roll as later on the young guys did, because we were doing
Right.
real rock and roll,
Yes.
So that's how the whole thing started. And I decided to make this film and produce this film because I wanted to leave some kind of a legacy, and especially doing it in English, because I wanted to, mainly for American people and for our Chicano brothers, to know what happened to the rock and roll scene in Mexico,
It
because
was,
it was very different than what happened here. In Mexico, the government was totally against us. And there was a lot of repression because of the music. They didn't like the way we dressed, they didn't like the way we looked, they didn't like the music we were playing. They blame us of being drug addicts and all kinds of things that were not truth. It
and
was totally
also
innocent.
didn't they actually like raid some of the venues and stop you
They
from
raid the
playing?
venues and they would go in and kick everybody out. They will kick everybody out, and they wouldn't even let us take our instruments out. And then they will close the clubs and put a tape there, this close clausurado, Uh, it was very unfair and very bad that they did that. And that was one of the main reasons why I came to the US,
Yeah. Well,
because they closed. One day they decided this music is outlaw, it's against the law. The radio will not play rock and roll. The TV will not show any rock and roll. And they closed all the places that we used to play at, which were basically café cantantes. They were coffee houses. There was not even alcohol sold there, and dancing was forbidden. So it was a very restrictive thing. And in spite of that, all the kids would pack those places. I mean, the places were sold out most of the time, and we were doing quite well
were they
until
were
the
they
government ruined it for us.
were they teenage venues? Because you probably weren't playing in a nightclub with alcohol, right? Were they teenage venues, or were you playing in a nightclub?
Basically, teenage venues, yes. No alcohol, no
Yeah.
dancing. And, started around 5 p.m., and by 9 p.m., 10 p.m., it was over.
Wow. So you had it rougher than we did. We didn't have it that rough at all. Although once we became hippies and the pot, then they started hassling us, the cops and stuff.
Yeah, well, that was
But we
later.
didn't have we didn't have the government repression at that time that you guys did.
No, in Mexico, it was very, very difficult, and rock and roll was outlawed for several years. And that gave the Argentinians the advantage, and then they started making rock and roll in Spanish around in the 80s. And the Mexicans, which were actually the original rock and rollers after the Americans, right? And they were left behind. And then finally a new movement came out more in the 90s about, they call it the Chicano rock, they call it. Not being really Chicano, but they called it that.
Hmm.
What it meant was it was going to be Mexican rock and roll, original and done in Spanish. And that's when the band El Tri came about.
Hmm.
and became very famous with Alex Lora, who is basically well, pretty much the most famous Mexican rock and roller now times.
Wow. So once those doors were closed, you decided to come to the U.S. and talk about that.
Yeah, well, when they closed the clubs, we didn't have any jobs. There was, and also the general attitude of the adults and the government and all that.
Hmm.
You know, I married this American girl, and I was in love. We were young, and I was already into rhythm and blues music, and that happened when Javier Batiz came to Mexico City. Javier had grown up in Tijuana,
Hmm.
and he was very good. He was an excellent guitar player, an excellent singer, and I must mention too, he was Carlos Santana's first teacher.
Yes.
He taught Carlos his first chords. There are a few pictures there in Javier's files where you can see Carlos sitting next to him because Javier was also very young playing on the nightclubs in Tijuana. In Tijuana, there was nightclubs where you play. He was not old enough to be there, but he was playing there. So when Javier Batiz came to Mexico City, he brought all this rhythm and blues music that we really didn't know that much because in Mexico City, of course, occasionally we will catch the Wolfman Jack show, which came from a
Wow.
Mexican
Right on the
station.
border. Yeah.
XCRB was a
Hmm.
Mexican station. The X is the Mexico.
Right.
So uh, when Javier came and turned us on to the blues and to the rhythm and blues thing, my life changed. I decided I didn't want to be translating any more top 10 hits, and I wanted to play more like Jimmy Reed and B.B. King and all that stuff that I got turned on to by Javier and by my first American girlfriend, who also turned me on to Jimmy Reed. She
Mm.
sent me some Jimmy Reed records. So I was into playing blues music and playing rhythm and blues. I didn't care anymore about fame or fortune because I already had enjoyed that in Mexico City. I mean, we were very famous. I mean, we were doing really good. We did TV shows and movies, and we had records. I mean, I made several records in Mexico. Uh, I can show him to you. I would like to show him to you. So please pause it, and I'm going to bring him. So, as I was saying, this is the very first one,
Hold it back a little farther back. Yeah, there you go. Oh,
rock
wow.
and roll,
That was your band?
Sparks.
Well, that was it. Were you in the band?
I was in the band, yes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And this is rock and roll. It says hits of 1961, but this
Wow.
record was actually made in probably 60.
Wow.
So this is the first record I made, and it's in Colombia.
Hmm.
And then we had another one, also from the same era,
Hold
rock,
back.
rock. There you go.
Here you go.
And there is Los Sparks, the Loud Jets. What a great name, the Loud Jets, and the Blue Caps.
Oh,
Okay, I mean these records were quite popular in Mexico.
like Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps, huh?
We copy that too. There is Los Sinners.
Okay.
See, that's another one. These are all bands that I'm showing you. I play on them and I
Okay.
play on these records.
Wow.
These were the recordings I was making before I joined KNT. There I am.
All right. Clean cut.
Yeah,
Nice.
Los Sinners.
Wow.
And there was more, later on we did another one called Naftalina. This is later, okay? This is already in the 80s. They invited me to come down and record it with them, some of the
Hmm.
old rockers there. So as you see, there was a thing going on, and we were happening. We were happening until the government put a stop to it
That's
and
amazing.
and cut us off.
You were pretty successful, and that's really early on, 60, 61. Wow.
Oh yeah, no, I was a kid. I was just a young kid. And the other day I found my first contract with Colombia, and I saw it. I was in 1961 when we signed it, or
Wow.
1960, around that.
So once they shut it down, you and a friend. Decided to go to.
Tony de la Barrera, yeah, my friend Tony, who eventually played for a couple of years. He played with Ken Heath too later on
Mhm.
when Larry left after the famous fight and all that stuff.
So how old were you when you came north?
uh, I must have been 19 or 20 years old, around that. Because I got married at 19, so I must have been 20 years old, 1966.
Now, I remember talking about this years ago, and I think after you crossed the border, didn't you wind up in Palm Springs for a little while?
Well, no. This is before when Los Sinners, this band,
Yes,
this is before I came to Canned Heat and all that. Los
right.
Sinners, we decided to come and try. It was such a good band that we figured, why don't we try to play in the US? Let's see how they react with us.
Hmm.
So we came, of course, with tourist visas.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
we were underage and we didn't have working papers, but we did get some gigs. We play at the Troubadour. We play at the Lazy X. I don't know if you remember that one. It's a
No,
great club.
I don't remember the Lazy X.
And they also play at a place called the Daisy, which is a private club in Beverly Hills. And it was like real fancy, real great. The Los Sinners used to wear tuxedos. Look, when we
Hmm.
play, you
Yeah,
see?
yeah.
So we were wearing our tuxedos, so fancy, playing at the Daisy there. Paul Newman was there, Joan Woodward, Charlton Heston, all these great famous actors were there. And this place was called the Daisy, and it's a private club. And John Noby, who was an American in Los Sinners, this guy here, he's still around. His father had connections, and that's how they got us those gigs. Uh, After a little while, we ended up with some Italian manager, and he was really funny. He got us this gig in Indio, California.
Oh, that's how this.
Oh no, no, I'm sorry, in Cathedral City.
That's where I live now. I mean,
Oh, you live in Cathedral
yes,
City?
yes.
Okay, well, there was a place called there the Farmhouse.
Okay.
I'm sure it probably don't exist
No.
anymore. The Farmhouse, and it had this gorgeous go-go dancer called Karen, the sensational queen of Watusi.
Well, wow.
We ended up playing at the Farmhouse, and we already were confident. I mean, we had played at the Troubadour, we played at the Lazy X, we played at the Daisy, and now we have a gig 6 nights a week at the Farmhouse. And all these Americans will come and see us, and they accepted us, they liked us. And so, we got confident. We figured, hey, it's nice, it's not that hard. I mean, we were afraid in the beginning, because of course, this is the land of the rock and roll thing.
Right.
We were not from here. But we did quite well until the border patrol got us. And this is
Mhm.
because of the Beatles. I'm going to
Really?
tell you about the Beatles. Just a minute.
So the
Okay,
Beatles, what did they
so
do?
yeah. So this is what happens. We're playing at the farmhouse, and then we find out that they are showing help in
Mm.
Indio, California.
Oh.
We had a little wagon, a little Falcon wagon. You remember the Falcon, the Ford
Oh,
Falcon?
absolutely. Yeah, Ford Falcon.
Okay, we had a little Falcon wagon that broke. The piece of shit broke. So we jump on a bus and went to Indio to see help. And that's when, as we opened the door of the bus and coming down, the border patrol was there. I
Oh.
I went out and they saw me, I look white and I have blue eyes and all that. They didn't bother me. They didn't say anything. They just let me go. John, who was an American, just went by. But then we had another guy who was from TJ, and he really looked Mexican. And then they stopped him, and then they stopped the other guys too. And they found out, that we were playing at the farmhouse, and they knew that all we had was tourist visas. We didn't have working permits or anything, so they kicked us out. They
All
told
of
us,
you. You got kicked out too?
yes, they kicked us out. They gave us, I guess, 12 hours to leave. The situation was much more decent then than it is now.
Oh, tell me
There
about it.
wasn't all this hatred and all this stuff
No,
going on.
ice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were just Mexican kids, playing music. and that was our sin, not having working permits and being underage too, because we were under 18, playing in a nightclub.
Yeah.
So that's when they sent us back, and we came back to Mexico with a more confident attitude about the US, thinking the Americans are great musicians and great people, but we are the same. That's the way we felt.
Hmm.
And that's when I married my American girlfriend,
Oh,
decided to come to the US, especially because I was really into playing blues. I wanted to play blues music more than anything. I was not interested in becoming famous or big or any of that. That came in later. Nobody in the canned heat was interested in that. We were mainly into playing this music and propagating music and make it palatable for white audiences. Because in those times, blues music was not popular.
yeah, right.
And nightclubs were afraid of playing blues.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that because I read that Bob Haidt and Alan Wilson was the name. What's his name?
Alan Wilson, yes.
Yeah. They were like blues fanatics and collectors, and they would have all the cool albums, and they'd get together, just like Mick Jagger and Keith Richard when they met. It was they had
Yeah,
the
but
blues
I think
albums.
a lot more than Keith Richards and Mick Jagger.
You were
Bob and
the,
Alan were absolute experts and musicologists. It was not LPs, their collections were mainly 78s.
wow, it goes way
You
back.
can see pictures of Bob with his 78s. He had a complete room full of 78s, thousands of 78s. And then he had a garage where he had his doubles, his duplicates.
Hmm.
I ended up with some of those 78s. I bought some from him.
Hmm.
It was a complete education, you know. Bob and Alan used to play records all the time and talk music 24 hours a day. That's all they wanted to know about.
So when you came back, tell me what happened. I mean, you didn't join right away. You were in
No,
another
no, no. I
band.
was I was extremely lucky. I came back and I joined. I played with a few bands here and there, in nightclubs, and then I joined a band called Larry Barnes and the Creations, and you can actually see some of the creations on YouTube. There is a couple of our performances there.
Mm,
When I came into Canned Heat, I had more experience on the stage than they did.
wow.
I might have been the
Yeah.
Mexican runt and the younger one, the youngest one of the band and all
Hmm.
that. But I had been already playing professionally since I was 13. And by the time I joined Canned Heat, I was 20. So I've been playing already for about 7 years. And as I told you before, I played in TV, movies. You saw the records I made, all
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So I already had a lot of experience in the music business. And these guys were experts in music and musicologists, but they were not experts at performing. Originally, Bob and Alan decided to make a jug band,
Mm,
with
yeah, right.
the bottle
Oh,
and the,
absolutely,
the
yeah.
acoustic instruments and all that.
Hmm.
That's basically what they were having fun. They never really expected to become professionals or any of that. The jug band idea kind of disappeared a few months later, and then they decided to make a blues band. They had a few members, different members in the very beginning until the classic formation
Right,
became in 1966
right.
and 67 when Larry Taylor came in, Henry Vestine first, Larry Taylor, and then myself, and then
So,
the classic
right.
Cat Kid was
So you were
formed.
playing around LA and with another band or other bands, and did you see Canned Heat play a few times before you joined them? Did you?
Yes, actually, I became friends with their drummer in Mexico City.
Wow.
The drummer that was playing with Ken here at the time became my friend in Mexico City. I invited him to sit in. I was playing with Javier Batista at the time in a club, and he came in. He told me, I'm playing in a blues band in the US, and we're the best band in the world, and blah, blah, blah. He was like really bragging about it. And then later on, when I came to the US, he invited me to come see them, and they were playing at the Topanga Corral.
Oh, I remember that place. Yeah.
the Topanga Corral. I mean, Canned Heat was not famous. They were just, they were just starting, but they were basically one of the bands that play at the Topanga Corral. The Corral also, had Linda Ronstadt playing
Oh,
there with
yeah.
Stone Ponies, and Neil Young played there too.
Sure. Everybody.
Spirit started there too. So it's quite a place.
Hmm.
I went to see Canned Heat as soon as I arrived to the U.S. and I saw them there. And I remember that I asked Frank if he would let me sit in, and he said no.
Of
He
course.
said no because maybe the club owner is not going to like it and he may cause trouble to us. Because Frank used to do a song, that song, There Is Something on Your Mind,
Oh, yeah.
the Bobby Marchand song.
There is something on your mind.
That's it. Well, Frank used to do the rap part at the end of the song.
Mhm.
So there was no drummer there. And I thought, well, maybe he'll let me play. I knew those songs perfectly because I've already, as I said, I've already been playing with Javier Batiz and I've been playing for 8 years, 7 years. And it was strange, but he didn't let me sit in. Really amazing how life works.
Oh,
It
yes.
had nothing to do with that occasion, but eventually I took his job. And it wasn't because anything between him and I. It was,
Right.
you know, they fired Frank because they were fighting with him. They were not getting along with him. And Frank was more into jazz. He really was not that much into blues. And so then they saw me playing with Larry Barnes and the Creations. They came to see me in a place in Hawthorne called the Tomcat Club.
Hmm.
Okay, it was in Hawthorne and the corner. I don't know, Hawthorne and Eighth, one of those places. And the Tomcat Club was a rhythm and blues place, and I used to play with all these great rhythm and blues artists because we were the house band. And in the weekends, they had the celebrity nights, and they would bring the Shirelles, the Platters,
Hmm.
people like that. T-Bone Walker. I mean, it was great. It was great for me. It was a dream. Here I am in a nightclub playing with American musicians and playing the kind of music that I really love. So I was having a great time. The managers of the Canned Heat came to see me at the Tomcat Club, and they came and they took me outside. I remember them telling me, "Are you aware that there is a movement of music that you don't know about?" He says, "Do you know who Jimi Hendrix is?" I didn't know who Jimi Hendrix was.
Hmm.
As I said, I was playing R&B. I was into the black musicians, the black performers, and I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't know about Cream and all those bands that were starting just like Canned Heat. So they actually told me about it and got me interested in it, and they booked my band with Canned Heat
Oh.
in a place called the Magic Mushroom. You have to remember. Well, you don't remember. You're younger than me, but anyway,
Not too much younger.
in those times, LA was exploding with nightclubs.
No, I
There was
remember that.
all
Yeah.
kinds of great rock and roll nightclubs, and I'm
Of
talking
course.
about the Magic Mushroom, the Sea Witch, the Whiskey A Go Go, Gazzara.
Pandora's Box,
Yeah, yeah, all the
Gazaris.
yes, there was a lot of action going on.
Yeah.
So they booked us. They booked my band. I had another band besides Larry Barnes called Bluesberry Jam. So they booked Bluesberry Jam with Canned Heat in the same club. And that night, Canned Heat was not really doing so well. They were fighting with their drummer. They had just gotten busted for weed in Denver,
Hmm.
and they spent time in jail. They lost their royalties because they had to pay to get out, to bail them out.
Yes, I read that. Yeah, the
Yeah,
company
well, this
gave him
is
the
before I
10,000
joined.
but took the publishing.
That's right. 10,000. That's what Al Bennett offers Skip Taylor, our manager, to get the boys out of jail and bail them out. $10,000 and you buy the publishing of the band. So, a few years later, on the road again and going up the country, came and made him at least $1 million, maybe
Mm.
more, out of that $10,000 investment.
Yes.
Oh, that's the music business
Yeah,
for you.
typical. Yes.
But anyway, back to the
Yes.
Magic Mushroom. We played
Yes.
there, and he was not really playing that good that night. And I had a killer band. I mean, the Bluesberry Jam was a great band. It had this famous guitar player, you may have heard of him, Ted Green.
Oh yeah, he brought all his books out,
Yes, of course, he was
music
a
books.
great teacher, and he was
Yes.
our guitar player. So
Wow.
I had
Wow.
a black singer, Al Walton, who was great too, and Ted Green was our guitar player.
Jeez.
So, so the Bluesberry Jam was a great band, and that's one of the reasons also that they hired me for Canned Heat too. They didn't want the competition, you see.
Mm. By the way, I read that some of the members of Bluesberry Jam became Pacific Gas and Electric.
That happened after I left.
Yeah, and they were a big popular
I left.
Bay Area band.
Charlie, the singer, yeah, and then Frank Cook, the drummer for Canned Heat, became Pacific Gas and Electric's drummer.
Mm.
But then I guess he didn't last there too long either. I don't know what happened there, but they replaced him with another drummer. Uh, so yeah, after the gig at the Magic Mushroom, I went home, and I figured, well, they heard me. That night at 3 o'clock in the morning, they called me on the telephone. And I guess Skip Taylor, the manager, tells me, the boys want to play with you and see how it feels. So we just heard how you play with your band, and we would like to have a rehearsal with you. So the next day, I had a rehearsal, and I'll tell you this tale because it's kind of a good tale. On my way to the rehearsal with Ken Heath for the first time, I stopped in a record store and I bought a record of Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, one of those Chicago South Side records
Hmm.
at Pepper's Lounge, the live blues record, very famous record. So I had that record under my arm when I knock on the door, and the big fat guy opens the door and looks at me. And so I'm, with my accent and everything, I'm Fito, and I'm here to, try out the audition. And later on, he told me, he says, I already had seen you play, but there are many good drummers around. He said, but what got you into Ken here, right there in my mind, is that you had that record under your arm.
Whoa.
You see, because he was a blues guy. I didn't know these guys had thousands of records and they were expert musicologists.
Hmm.
I happened to buy that record on my way to the rehearsal,
Wow.
and Bob just loved that. When he saw me with the record under my arm, I guess he thought to himself, this is the guy for Canned Heat. So we had a nice rehearsal, a live rehearsal. We played. We sounded like we've been playing together for a long time. I love the way Larry Taylor played. I mean, I was so happy to have a bass player like him, so strong, so heavy.
Yeah.
And then I remember the managers after we played, they dragged me to the corner, the corner. They had a ranch in Canoga Park. They drive me and they say, so what do you think? They said, will you like to join Canned Heat? And I went and I said, I was born to play with Canned Heat.
I remember you told me that. That's a beautiful
I,
thing.
I told them that because I wanted to show commitment.
Yes.
And have I proved it now after 60 years?
Yeah, you proved it was true.
Yes. I mean, I wanted to show commitment. I wasn't going to be like, musicians. We're mercenaries. We always ask, how much am I going to make
Yeah, yeah.
whenever they offer you a gig?
Right.
I didn't ask how much I was going to make because I knew they were not making any money. I mean, they were playing at the Topanga Corral.
Now, when you joined, had they had a record out at all at that point?
They had one record out.
One album, right?
The first record, the yellow one. That's the one where I'm not in.
And
And
it
then
didn't sell that well?
it didn't do that well. No, that record was basically a purist blues record, copying a lot of the Chicago blues guys and all
Yeah.
that. And I mean, it's a very nice record, and it got very good reviews from people like Downbeat magazine and people like that. It was not a popular thing. And then later on, after I joined, we did the Boogie with Canned Heat record, and we had our first hit on the road again.
Yeah, On the Road Again. It was kind of an updated version of a 50s song by Floyd Jones.
Yeah, it is Floyd Jones, and it's also pretty much just a typical Mississippi blues.
Hmm.
And the lyrics have been done by other people too, and there is really no author. But I guess Floyd Jones and Alan Wilson claimed it, and that's okay.
So Alan Wilson sang lead on that, right?
Yeah, Alan was a very talented harmonica player
Yes.
and a very talented musician in general.
Let's talk a little bit about him. So he it's great talent, guitar, vocal, harmonica, but he suffered from depression, right?
Yeah, as we became very famous, Alan started falling apart. Yes, as we became famous, Alan started falling apart. Uh, I don't know if it was a chemical imbalance or it was just something went wrong.
Yeah.
And
You think he might have been like on the spectrum? He might have had Asperger's syndrome or, some kind of a
he might have
spectrum.
had something that we didn't discover
Yeah.
or realize
Yeah.
until later. But it was also a problem of he was very much concerned with the state of the earth. He was the first environmentalist that I ever known. I mean, Greenpeace didn't exist.
Yeah.
None
Yeah.
of that stuff, the
Yeah.
movement for the environment, for air, Mother Earth,
Mhm.
all that was just beginning.
Right. Hmm.
Alan Wilson was one of the first people that actually cared and did that. Not only that, but one of our records we pretty much dedicated to the environment, the Future Blues record,
Right. I heard about that. Yeah.
which it has inside. I'll show it to you. You want to see it?
Sure.
So this record was basically, you
Yes.
may notice the American flag is upside down.
Oh, yeah, that was a controversy.
That's a sign of distress.
Right.
We're supposed to be in the moon, and you see the earth in the background there,
Yes.
that blue dot is all polluted right here. You see?
Hmm.
So this is future blues. We were right.
Yeah. So what he meant, it was like a protest against what's happening to the environment, and some people took it like as an anti-American thing, right?
That's right. This record was outlawed, and it was not distributed in many of the main distribution outlets. So some of the main
That's too
outlets
bad.
would not touch it, but we didn't care.
Yeah.
Also, inside the record, there's a picture of us in
Redwoods.
Redwood.
Yeah. Nice.
And there is also a letter inside of Alan writing called "The Green Harvest."
Hmm.
See it?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
written by Alan. So
Hmm.
this whole record was dedicated to the environment and Alan's love for Mother Earth and our concern of what we were doing to the earth. And it it was not accepted in many of the outlets, but it had the hit record "Let's Work Together."
Yeah, baby. And that
So
was
even if they didn't like it, the record became a hit.
yeah.
And it sold millions anyway, and it sold millions worldwide.
And
Let's work
that's when
together.
the Bob Height sang lead on that one.
With Bob singing, yes. That was originally written by Wilbur Harrison.
Yes. Was he the one that did
Inside they wrote Kansas City,
yeah.
and the song is great and the message is great. And as I said, even if they didn't accept the album in many of the outlets, the album became a hit.
And the single was a huge hit.
Together.
Right? The single was a huge hit.
Yeah, the single was
International.
a huge hit, yeah.
Yeah.
It
So yeah.
still is, but they use it in movies and commercials everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so we mentioned on the road again. We spoke about that already, right? But we didn't mention going up the country, right?
Okay, that's later.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
later on.
we had this hit record, right? And about a year went by,
Hmm.
less than a year. And we, as I said, originally didn't even know we were going to become famous. We wanted to be basically the answer to Paul Butterfield and John.
Hmm. Chicago.
We used to tell our managers, we just want to be as famous as Paul Butterfield and John Mayall. That's what we want to do. We want to be the West Coast answer
To those guys.
to the Chicago guys and the English guys.
Yeah, beautiful idea.
And he was going to be the West Coast answer to them. And that's what we wanted. But eventually we had three blues oriented songs that became worldwide hit records.
International
So we
hits.
became more famous than Paul Butterfield and even John Mayall
That's true.
worldwide because we had those hit records. But let's talk about going up the country.
Yes.
So after on the road again, we're
Mhm.
having a rehearsal, and Alan shows up and goes, I have an idea from a song that I heard from a guy called Henry Thomas, a one-man band called Bulldoze Blues. He
Yes.
says, and he starts playing taga 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 taga. He says, but I wrote the lyrics. He wrote his own lyrics, which by the way, I have the lyrics sheet, the original.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you were here, I would show you my scrapbooks and all that, and I could show you all that
I'll
stuff
come and visit.
anytime. So he's got ba ba da ba da ba da ba da, and then
He was whistling at first.
he's whistling it, and he says, that's a flute part. And then he starts going up the country, baby, don't you want to go going up the country?
Yeah.
Half the song, we played half the song. It was just the three of us, Larry, Alan, and me. And all of a sudden we stop, and Larry goes, that's going to be a fucking hit. We knew this is going to be a huge hit. You could not help it. I mean, that's it. That was it.
And I just read there was a famous horn player that played flute on it.
Yes, I'll tell you the real story. Paul Horn. So anyway, so that's Alan coming with going up the country and we realizing this is going to be a great big hit. I'm sure you being a Beatles fan, you must have heard Paul McCartney singing it.
No, when did he do it?
In the latest
Oh, on the Get Back
Get Back.
documentary. That's right. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot.
So when he goes and sings going down the country, he goes going
Yeah,
down
right,
the
right.
country. So I sent him a message. I said, Paul, it is going up the country, not going down the country. I had to send him a message with somebody that was going to get it to him.
That's great.
Because a lot of people send me the copy of him singing it, You included, I think.
That I did what?
Send me a copy of Paul McCartney singing going up the country.
Yeah, I think I might have done that.
Yes, you did that.
Yeah, man. And so Paul Horn was playing the
Yeah.
flute on
Oh, I
it.
tell you the story because this is an interesting story. The
Mhm.
original going up the country that we did, the original recording had the flute player was Tank Harrigan, who
Okay.
was the baritone player of the Ray Charles band.
Mm.
Okay, so that is the original flute.
Mhm.
But Alan, as perfectionist as he was, he thought it was, I never heard it, but he heard it. He said it was a little bit off tune. So then when we did a remix of the song to make it into a single, he decided to call Paul Horn, who is a very, very methodic and special flute player
Mhm.
who will be in perfect tune. And that's how we hire him to do
Oh, okay.
the
Got it.
song. But the original was Tank Harrigan.
Okay. Getting back to Alan Wilson, so you guys had three major international hits which we've discussed, and two of the three were sung by Alan Wilson and one by Bob the Bear Height. And so getting back to Alan, so we were talking that he was maybe on the spectrum, or we know he suffered from depression. But I remember reading in your book, which we should probably mention, you wrote a book called Living the Blues, you know,
Right, yeah.
and you gave me this copy, got 10, 15 years ago. I don't know when it was.
I
But
have a new copy with a new cover. So this is the fourth and last edition of my book.
beautiful cover.
And I hope you buy it.
I will.
I'm talking about your fans.
Oh, yes, yes.
This is already revised and corrected, and it has some new stories, and it is just as good as it's going to be. And this is the last time I work on a book. Fourth edition, last edition.
It's a great book. I read the first edition, and that one was great. I mean, the story is great. It's incredible.
But this is even better. And
Yeah.
it has new stories that you didn't get on the other book. That's why I'm pushing it.
Yes, yes. So getting back to Alan, so I remember reading in the book, I'm pretty sure it was in the book, but that was like 10, 12 years ago, that Alan would do strange things like, he wouldn't want to stay in the hotel. He's sleeping in a sleeping bag on an off ramp or something like that.
Yeah, when I just joined the band, as I said, I was the runt and the little Mexican, the new guy.
Yeah.
So they made me room with Alan. Of course, nobody else wanted to room with Alan because Alan was kind of funky, he always smelled and he was very strange. He will grab his clothes and roll them up in a roll and put them there on the side. He will grab a blanket from the bed and put it on the floor and sleep on the floor. He was a yogi. He loved to do yoga, and he said that sleeping on a hard floor was better
Hmm.
for his back and all his stuff.
Hmm.
Then sometimes he would just go out because not only he was a musicologist and a genius in music, but he was really into botanics and into plants. And as I said, Mother Earth.
Hmm.
There's so much about it. He carried these big, thick books like that on botany. So he was learning the names of every plant, every flower,
Wow.
every leaf on earth. Imagine trying to learn all that. You have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have a special mind to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that, you know? So many times when we were, playing or whatever, we would be sleeping in our hotels. He will take off and go to sleep in the woods. I mean, sometimes even in the outside the airport. The other day we found him outside on part of the airport. The green area in the airport.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't remember what Alan went to sleep there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's why when we bought him a van, we got him one of those Volkswagen
So
vans,
you could sleep in it?
so he could go out to the redwoods and to the woods and be there and hang out. And that unfortunately was the first time he tried to commit suicide.
Mm.
He drove the van off the road because he
Wow.
decided he didn't want to live anymore.
Hmm.
And that's when the whole downs the down slide happened. And he ended up in a psychiatric hospital. And then they put Bob in charge of Alan, which was not the right thing to do
Yeah.
because Bob was having his problems too. He was starting to use a lot of drugs and all that. And Bob was basically a partier. He wanted to party, and he was not going to take care of Alan. So that's how the whole thing happened. And then eventually, Alan took a bunch of pills and maybe mixed it with alcohol. And some people says that it was an accident. Some people say it was a suicide. We really don't know. But the main thing is that he did die way too young to be
27 Club?
27. Yeah, he's part of the
Yeah,
27 gang. I mean, there is a book called 27.
yeah, yeah.
It includes Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and
Janis
Janis
Joplin.
Joplin and Alan. They are all 27-year-olds. I mean, what a terrible thing. All this talent. Look at the amount of music they could have given us if they had just survived a little more, but at least a few 10, 20 more years.
So he passed away. Didn't they find him in Bob Height's yard or
Uh,
something?
that's where he used to sleep. He used to sleep in Bob's house. In the back of the house, there was a mountain, and on top of that mountain, on top of that it's not a mountain, it's a small hill, and there was a well on top, and he used to sleep in that little flat area in the back of Bob's house. That house became quite famous. It's even on the internet because the government decided that they could not build in it or they could not live in it because of the flood. There was a lot
Oh,
of
yeah,
flood,
yeah.
and so they say that now the house is being rebuilt and now somebody bought it and somebody's going to live there. But for many years, I mean, for 50 years, the house has been there abandoned. And, some homeless live there and there's all kinds of
And
graffiti
that,
and
that's
stuff
where he overdosed, huh?
on top of that hill.
Yeah.
And that's where Bob and the band really grew up in that house. All that stuff from the Topanga Corral to Bob's house and to
Yeah.
continue the party until the day's end.
I saw somewhere that you guys played on the bill with the Doors at least once, if not more.
Yeah, yeah, we did it. That was actually my first gig
Really?
with Canned Heat. I mean, I wish I had my scrapbooks here. I will show
Yeah,
it. I have them
yeah.
downstairs. I have a poster of the gig. Yeah, that was with the Doors in UCLA College. Yeah.
So did you get to see some of his antics? Did
Oh
you
yes,
see
of course. Yes. No, no. You know, we also did a tour together in Europe,
Oh, geez.
the Doors and Canned Heat. But Jimmy was not as crazy then. I mean, he was still different than everybody else, but him and Alan, they were two special people, that I remember one time we're playing at the Marco Polo Hotel in Miami, and Jim shows up. He was there to go to court because he exposed himself in one of the
Oh,
festivals.
yeah, I remember that.
You remember he did that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So then Bob started doing the Jim Morrison imitation too. He would
Oh,
put the microphone in his crotch and say, "This is my Jim Morrison imitation." Bob never got busted, but Jim did.
yes.
So he was going to court, and he saw us playing at the Marco Polo Hotel. So he came to the gig and sat in with us. He sang a couple of standard blues songs. There are a few pictures out there somewhere with him and us playing together. Maybe you'll find them on YouTube.
Speaking of exposure, I was flipping through your book this morning and came across a picture of Bob Height jumping off a diving board naked at a hotel.
That was another one. Back to Jim and Alan. That day at the Apollo Theater, Jim
Yeah.
and Alan, I
Hmm.
remember we finished the gig and they both sat on a table and talked quietly. And it was the last time they saw each other,
Hmm.
and it was the last time we saw Jim.
Wow.
And then Alan died shortly after, too. They
Yeah.
died pretty much in the same time.
Yeah.
It was strange to see them talking and all that.
Yeah.
I wish they had been happier. So I'll tell you about Bob naked. That's in my book. In my
Okay.
book,
Yes.
there's a picture of the a letter from the Holiday Inn to our travel agent saying the band Canned Heat went swimming naked in the Atlanta, Georgia,
Ooh.
Atlanta Holiday Inn in the middle of the night. We do not book bands like the Canned Heat and the Holiday Inn and all this stuff they did. So I put the letter on the book, and I put a picture of Bob
I saw
jumping on
him
the pool naked.
in all his glory. Yeah. Too funny, man. Hey, so what about the nicknames? Like I read somewhere where was it your manager that came up with getting
Those were
nicknames?
the manager's ideas.
Yeah.
See, they were dealing with a band that didn't want to be famous,
Hmm.
a band that didn't really look too good. You know what I mean?
You didn't have
You
a
know?
Paul McCartney in the
Yeah,
band.
yeah. No, he always says when they interview Skip, he says, my first impression of Ken, he says, these guys look terrible. I mean, look at these guys. So they were dealing with a band that was anti-commercial, blues band, didn't look very good. So they had to find some kind of stick to deal with it.
Shtick,
So
yeah.
they decided, okay, let's call the big guy the bear, because that's a great idea. He
Yeah.
looked like a bear.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then Larry Taylor, because of the way he moved and all that, we call him the mole. And then Henry Vestine became the sunflower because of how he looked too when he was playing. I have a picture in the book of him that you can see. He looks like a sunflower. And then Alan Wilson, with his thick glasses, which he could not see at all, became the blind owl.
Which is a cool bluesy name.
And I already had a nickname, which is Fito, which is short for Adolfo.
Oh, okay.
My name is Adolfo. And in Latin America, anybody called Adolfo or anybody called Rodolfo are
It's
called
Fito.
Fito.
Right.
Adolfito, Rodolfito. So I already had a nickname,
And when Harvey Mandel joined, he became the Snake.
the Snake. Yeah, that's after Henry left, right before Woodstock.
Hmm. Oh, I also saw where didn't your managers lease the Kaleidoscope Club in Hollywood?
That's another situation. Yes, our managers wanted to repeat what they were doing in San Francisco. You know what Chet Helms and Bill
Right.
Graham were doing.
Right.
Chet Helms with the Family Dog, and Bill Graham with the beginning of the Fillmore West. You see, because Chet Helms was really the originator of the hippie scene and the music scene in San Francisco.
Mhm.
Bill Graham used to work for him.
Mhm.
Bill Graham used to sweep and pick up tickets and take care of the stuff there. And that's how he learned to become the great promoter he did,
Mhm.
working for Chet Helms.
Okay.
See? So that's how the situation happened.
And was that when they leased it, did they name it the Kaleidoscope, or was it already called the
Oh,
Kaleidoscope?
the Kaleidoscope, as I said, our managers wanted to repeat that, but doing it in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Why not? You know, LA had a great music scene at the
Right,
time,
right.
and the place was a wonderful place.
I remember going there a couple times in the 60s. I
Yeah,
liked
no,
it.
it was a wonderful place. But what happened, I don't really know the details, but I know that one time we showed up to play, and this big three suit Latin guys from New York
Mm.
come and says, "Who are you? We're the Canned Heat. We're playing here tonight." And they said, "No, no, you are not playing here tonight." So, you know what? What happened? And they say, "Well, some money was not paid.
Mm.
I guess somebody, I don't know if our managers borrow from the mob or something. I don't know the details, but I know that these people look like right out of the Sopranos. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they took over the cashier. They went to the cash,
Mm.
and they took over the club completely. They kicked us out. They say, "No, you are not playing, and nobody's playing." And they look pretty mean, and we didn't want to mess with them. Of course, we just said okay, and we just left. And that's the last story I heard of the Kaleidoscope. That's how it went down.
But before it closed, you played there several times, right?
Several times when we almost like the house band there,
Yeah.
and we did some great gigs there. With Buffalo
I
Springfield,
was
with
going to ask you about that. They're one of my favorite bands. Tell me
yeah,
about
both
them.
Buffalo Springfield and Jefferson Airplane was there too.
Mhm.
We played together. Fever Tree, many other bands. I mean, I had posters of that. That they got flooded, but
Did you get to know the Buffalo Springfield guys?
oh yes, I even played with them a couple of times
Wow.
when Dewey
Love,
was
love that
sick.
band.
Dewey was sick, and they asked me to play with them. I didn't know their music that well, but we did okay. It was fun to play with them.
So what about the album you did with John Lee Hooker, the Hooker and
I was
Heat?
just going to mention that. I knew you were going to get there. So we were in Portland, Oregon, picking up our instruments to go play a gig, and we see in the carousel, two or three carousels away, we see this black guy picking up this old guitar, the old Epiphone, the famous Epiphones he used.
Hmm.
And Bob goes, "That's John Lee Hooker." So we ran towards him. This time we were the groupies.
Yes.
We went to him and we said, "John, we are the Canned Heat band, and we really appreciate, we love you. We've been following you, and we love your music, and you are the king of the boogie and all that." And then John looks at us and says, "You are the Canned Heat?" He says, "I like the way you boys boogie."
Woo!
So he knew who we were.
Hmm.
And he says, "I like the way you boys boogie." So that's when the idea came. And Bob says, "We ought to make a record together." And John, of course, said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I would love to play with the Canned Heats." The Canned Heats, that's how he used to call it. They asked him one time, "John, who are your favorite bands?" And he says, "The Santanas and the Canned Heats."
Has to end with an S.
So that's how we started, and that's how the idea came to record a record with John Lee Hooker, which was very successful too, especially in the black stations. KGFJ, you remember
Oh
KG?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Magnificent Manicure.
Hmm.
Magnificent Manicure and KGFJ, they used to play Whiskey and Women. That was one of the big hits that we did with John Lee Hooker. It was such an honor for me to be played and
Oh,
recognized in a black station. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because I
Yeah.
was totally into that music. I never even expected that I was going to record with John Lee Hooker, for God's sake. I mean,
Did you tour with them also?
oh yes, we did. We did. We played the Carnegie Hall together, and we did a couple of tours together, and we party and did everything with him, and it was a lot of fun. And then later on, years later, we also did part of the record that was very famous for him, The Healer,
Hmm.
which was produced by Roy Rogers. Many years later, he was already in his 80s when he did that, but we still play a couple of songs there. That's a record with Santana and with Charlie Musselwhite, Bonnie Raitt,
Wow.
and Heat, and us, and John, right? So it was a very famous record, and John already enjoying fame. Uh, One time after that record, uh, Richard, his band leader, called me up and asked me if I wanted to join the band. So I joined John Lee Hooker's band 2 years before he died.
Oh, wow.
So before, besides playing with Canned Heat, I was playing with a John Lee Hooker Coast to Coast blues band. That's what he
Oh,
used to call it.
nice.
So I was with John on his last 2 years, and I was with him on his last gig.
Wow.
I played behind him as he's singing "Never Get Out of This Blues Alive"
Where was that? What city was that in, the last
in
one?
Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa, yes. I have it even on tape. I have it on tape.
Wow.
So I mean, tears in my eyes, when singing and playing with him, and he's singing about going away.
Yeah, yeah.
My doctor told me, and all that. Never get out of this blues alive. And so, and then we also did a record with him after the Hooker and Heat at the live at the Fox Venice. You remember the Fox Venice
Oh,
Theater?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they turned it into a market now, and it was a classic theater, wonderful theater. And we did that record live with the Chambers Brothers,
Oh, yeah.
Ronnie Barron from New Orleans,
Hmm.
great piano player from New Orleans, and John Lee Hooker.
Wow, that's fantastic. I also remember the Cheetah Club in Venice.
Oh yes, yes, of course. We
I,
play at
I
the theater too.
You played
I
there?
play with Your Love, Wilson. No, not Wilson Pickett. Your love is me higher.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jackie Wilson.
Jackie Wilson. That's I see. I say Wilson Pickett. Jackie Wilson. Yeah, I got to see Jackie Wilson live and play. Side by side with him.
Oh,
What a great performer, man! What
oh,
a great
great performer.
singer and performer. What an energy. Did you see him ever?
No, no, I didn't
Oh,
see him. But
that
I
was at
did
the
see.
Cheetah.
I did go to the Cheetah and I saw the Young Rascals when they were in their prime. They were
Yeah,
great.
that was at the Cheetah. Yeah, the Cheetah was a great place.
Yeah. Did you play the Shrine Auditorium?
Oh yes,
I saw Janis
absolutely.
Joplin there. I saw all kinds of
Yeah,
people.
we did the New Year's Eve gig in 1969 at the Shrine Auditorium. We brought an elephant and painted
Yeah,
it purple
yeah.
and put Bob
Bob Hyde
Hyde
wrote
put
it.
the big bear on top of the elephant
Bear on the Elephant.
with a diaper. We put a diaper on him. He was the New Year.
And the elephant was
Of course,
purple with, I heard, day glow. I don't know,
yeah,
kind of.
yeah, with they glow. And like most people were loaded on acid that night because we had a big bottle of hits of acid and people were grabbing them as they came in.
All right.
So that was a New
So
Year's Eve at the Shrine Auditorium.
was that the Shrine Exposition Hall, not the theater? Because there's this exposition hall
The
next to it.
big one. I don't know which one is the
Yeah,
big.
yeah. That's where I saw Jeff Beck with Rod Stewart there. I saw
Yeah.
Janis
Oh yeah, that's
Joplin.
right. I saw James Brown there.
Wow. I never saw
Yeah.
him live.
Yeah, no, that was great playing there too. We did two times the Shrine.
That was a happening place back then. And the Troubadour, when did you play the Troubadour? Was that in the 60s or the
Well, we
70s?
played the Troubadour several times. We played when we came out with Boogie with Canned Heat. And then I guess 2 or 3 times we played the Troubadour.
You probably played the Whiskey a lot too.
Oh, we played the whiskey a lot. Yeah, we've played the whiskey at least 10 times. We just played the 50th anniversary or 60th? 60th anniversary, I think. I don't know if it was 50 or 60, but they invited us for the celebration, and it was good. That was last year.
Mhm. You know, what we skipped over, we didn't talk about, let's talk about Woodstock.
Well, that's the one that most people ask me about all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. It's funny. Yeah. See, it's
You
really
know,
funny. One time I met Ala Raka, who was Ravi Shankar's tabla player.
yeah.
Ravi
Talking
Shankar's.
about Ravi Shankar, I have a story for you.
Okay. So I met Ala Raka through my good friend Anthony Beret, who was an East LA musician, and he was taking tabla lessons from Ala Raka. So we went to his apartment he was staying in somewhere out toward the airport or something. And we're having dinner. And I said to him, "Hey, what was Woodstock like?" He goes, "Very wet."
It
That's all he said.
was quite an experience. Anyway, so we're in the helicopter on our way to the stage, and my manager, Skip,
Hmm.
used to have them Pentax cameras. You
Oh,
remember
yeah, yeah.
Pentax?
Very nice.
Great little cameras. So Skip Taylor puts his hand out of the window of the helicopter and starts shooting the audience. I mean, we're
Hmm.
looking at this 500,000 people there. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
impressed by it, in the helicopter. So one of the pictures that Skip took ended up in the Ravi Shankar Woodstock album.
Oh,
If
nice.
you see the Ravi Shankar Woodstock
Yeah,
album,
yeah.
that picture of the audience there, that was taken from our helicopter by our manager, Skip
Yeah.
Taylor. So that's one tale about the Ravi Shankar Woodstock album.
Yeah. So you played, I think you played day two or something like that.
Yeah, we were the headliners on day two.
And what time did you play?
Around 6 o'clock,
Like
seven, when
like
the sunset was
sunset right around
there,
evening?
which, according to Skip, is the best time to play when you play outdoor festivals. When the sun is coming
Right.
down, is the best
Not
time.
to mention a lot of artists played like at 3 in the morning or something like that,
Yeah, yeah, no, no, we had a great time playing, and we also, thanks to our roadies too, our roadies showed up with the equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
See, we played the night before, and they had to drive all the way from New York to Woodstock, which normally will take you 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
It took them more than 12 hours. They left.
Wow,
They
that's
left at 2 in the morning that day, and as we were landing in the helicopter, they were arriving in the truck. They had
Jeez.
to ask all the fans and people to help them move cars away because there was no way to get in. It was
Yeah.
all totally
People
blocked with cars parked.
people left their cars on the freeway and
I know, yes, that's what they did. So our roadies, they did it. They actually moved the cars and they made it. They drove over 12 hours and they made it with all the
amazing.
equipment. That's why I always say that the
So
roadies, the roadies are the infantry of rock and roll.
absolutely.
You have to
So
give them credit.
so you were you guys I'm trying to remember, were you guys not in the original movie or were you in the movie?
No, no, no. Our song was in the movie. They put
Right.
Going Out the Country, but they didn't put the live performance until later.
Till later.
Because
Some
it
some of
was
the director's cuts in those
politics.
later.
Yeah. And the director's cut, we are there.
Yeah.
See, what happens is that we were not a Warner Brothers act. We were in United Artists.
Hmm.
And Warner Brothers wanted to show the movie, I guess, 4 times instead of 3 times. And so they decided to cut a lot of the acts there from the movie. The director was furious about it, but he had no control.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers were the producers.
Credence wasn't in it either.
They cut Creedence, they cut Janis Joplin, they cut
Wow.
Paul Butterfield,
Oh, that's crazy.
they cut all kinds of artists.
Yeah,
And then when you see the director's copy, then you see all those acts that were cut, including ourselves,
hmm.
which I would always recommend not to watch the one that was in the theaters.
Yes.
You're going to watch the Woodstock movie, watch the director's copy.
Right. I
That's the
think I
way.
have that one. I think I have it.
Yeah, that is the best one. Yeah.
So, did you do like a lot of touring? You must have gone to Europe a ton of times, right?
I've done 120 European tours,
It's
and I'm
crazy.
exhausted.
I'm
I was
sure.
actually talking to my manager just a few minutes ago. We have an offer to go to Europe, and I turned it down.
Yeah.
I don't want to tour that much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the touring,
Oh, it's
We're
rough.
playing California gigs.
Yeah.
We're still playing and we're still active. And I have a great band right now, great lineup. And we had a new record last year came out. It's called The Final Vinyl. And it was on the charts for over 3 months. It did
Hmm.
very good on the blues charts. And it represents the lineup right now. The lineup
Wow.
with Jimmy Vivino. And, Jimmy Vivino was
From the TV show, right?
from the TV show.
Conan.
He was,
Conan.
he was the musical director of the
Conan.
Conan O'Brien
Yeah. Yeah.
Conan
Yeah.
O'Brien show for 28 years.
Cool.
I mean, the guy knows music really good.
Oh yeah.
And he loves the blues and he loves being with Canned Heat. And I have Rick Reed, which is a great bass player who used to play with Paul Butterfield too, and Dale Spalding, who's been with me already 20 years. Great harmonica player.
Wow.
So the band is still on, the band is still active, but I'm not taking that many tours anymore. I'm playing in California and around here, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
Hey, I'm 80
So
years old. I don't want to tour that much anymore.
I don't blame you. So during Canned Heat's heyday, did you guys tour South America or Asia, some other continents?
We've been in so
Africa?
many places I could tell you. We've been in Colombia, yes. We've been in Mexico a few times, of course, because I was known there, I was known from the
Mhm.
past. We played tours to Mexico. We did at least 15 tours to Mexico. We've done about 15 tours to Australia too, New Zealand, Diego Garcia a couple of times. Uh, Singapore a couple of times too,
That's
Japan
Asia.
a couple of
Mhm.
times.
Okay.
So 2 times Singapore, 2 times Diego Garcia, 2 times Japan, and a few times Canada, of course, maybe 20 times in Canada,
Okay.
and all over the US, you know, every year, all the time.
Oh, it's
So
amazing.
we've been really working a lot.
Oh,
I don't know any other musician that has done as much touring as I have.
no, I can imagine.
I can call myself the hardest working man in
In
show
show
business.
business.
Maybe there
So
are some, but I don't know because even the guys from our generation, like the Jefferson Starship and some of those guys, they haven't toured as much as we have
right.
because we've been active all the time. We never stopped playing. We never stopped working. Even when Bob died, or when Alan died, or when Henry died, we we kept playing. You know, so that's why we've been continuing that.
And speaking of Bob, I'd like to talk about Bob a little, just like we talked about Alan, just about him and what he was like. And so it sounds to me like when he was in his early nerdy blues period, he probably wasn't abusing drugs and alcohol at that time.
They were smoking weed mainly.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
That was
Um,
the innocence, and that was the
yeah, yeah,
best part of the band. The band was basically pot smokers.
yeah. Was he already that heavy or was he lighter in weight back in the
He
early
was
days?
lighter. He got heavier later.
Yeah.
So he
And
became up to 300 pounds. The problem with that was because when Alan died, we hired Joel Scott Hill. Joel Scott Hill was one of the founders of Bobby Grape, and all
oh yeah.
from the very beginning
Yeah.
came. He was very talented.
Hmm.
He played good guitar, not as good as Henry Vestine, of course, but he was good, and he sang very good, a great singer. But he was into drinking, and unfortunately, when Joel came, he turned the other guys on to the alcohol trip,
Uh,
and that was the beginning of the downfall. Because when the drugs were involved, it was drugs, pot, smoking pot, sometimes do a little coke and all that, and sometimes you couldn't find it, so that's okay. But when the alcohol came in and they became heavy drinkers, it was a tragedy because
yeah.
alcohol is acceptable. It's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
You could drink on the plane, you could drink on the airports, you could drink before the gig, after the gig, in restaurants everywhere. And these guys became alcoholics. So they were smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol a lot. When Alan died, the band was pretty much innocent. We were, yeah, they took psychedelics sometimes,
That's
mushrooms,
okay. That's okay.
LSD. That was part of
Yeah.
the thing. But cocaine, heroin, alcohol, all that, no, that happened later. As I say, it's the end of the innocence.
Yes.
And then
And
the alcohol and the cigarettes was worse because it's acceptable. They
yeah,
could find it
exactly.
always
And legal. Yes.
legal and acceptable.
Yeah.
And that's really what destroyed Bob and Henry,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah. Yeah. So he passed what year was that? Was it 80
1981.
81?
1981 at the Palomino Theater.
Palomino. I've been there too. I've played there too. So what happened? Did he perform that night or what?
Yeah, we perform. I mean, I have with detail in my book, the
Hmm.
whole
Right.
Bob died. Uh, we were actually starting to do okay after the horrible disco era
Yeah.
of the
Oh,
70s,
good. Yeah.
where none of us got any work. We were
Yeah.
had very little work.
Yeah.
So we were doing okay, starting to do okay again. And we're playing at the Palomino Theater. We played one set, and then we took a break. During the break, this guy shows up with a vial of heroin. And he actually warned us, this is heavy stuff. This is very strong. Be careful. Bob grabs the bottle, and as usual, he used to do this all the time, puts the whole bottle up, and this is the whole bottle. The guy is telling us, don't even do more than a match head. Bob grabs the bottle, puts it all up his nose, and then says, that shit ain't even gonna get me high.
Whoa.
10 minutes later, he was dying. And I go with more detail about it
Yeah. Yeah.
in the book. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
read the book
Okay.
to
We'll
see
leave it
how
at
it
that.
actually happened
Yes.
because it's devastating.
Yes. Terrible. So let's talk about how we met. Okay.
Yes.
So I had a guy that I knew in junior high school, Tom Modine. I'm not sure if he went to high school with me, but I remember him in junior high. And he kept telling me that he knew you. I think he met you at the Ash Grove. And one day, he must have cleared it with you, but he invited me to come up to your place up in Ventura County. And I brought my amp and guitar and wound up jamming all day with you. And for some reason, you were into the piano at the time.
Yeah, because there was a drummer there, right?
Yeah, there was a drummer there
Yeah,
and a
that's
bass
why
player.
I only bang on the piano, okay? I only know chords.
And you did well.
I'm not a piano player, but I enjoy doing it once
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
while.
So we jammed all day and it was great. And then we, had dinner and we hung out and it was great. And then I went, I think two other times. I think it was three total
Yes,
times.
yes, we've seen each other about at least 3 times, I
Yeah.
remember. But
And
I need to play drums with you one of these days.
yeah, I didn't get a chance to play with you on drums. I'd love to do that.
I jam in a place called The Grape here in
Hmm.
Ventura.
Hmm.
The first Wednesday of the month, I play with RJ Nisho and some really good blues guys,
All right,
local.
the first Wednesday of the month.
First Wednesday of the month, The Grape in Ventura. You
Okay.
should come and maybe talk to those people, maybe play a gig there.
Well, could I sit in with you guys at some point?
You can sit in too, yes.
Yeah. We'll
And
see.
and I want to mention too, I'm a fan of your father.
Hmm.
I mean, I knew
What
about Lalo
did you know
Guerrero.
about him while you were in Mexico?
Mexico City, Lalo Guerrero was famous.
Hmm.
I mean, I know he didn't have such a good time because they messed with him because
Because he
he
was a
didn't
Chicano.
speak Spanish. He didn't speak Spanish
No, no,
properly.
he spoke Spanish, but he was a Pocho. He was born in Arizona.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But hey, we admire him. So whatever negative stuff you heard of him, not from us, not from the young rockers.
Yeah.
The young rock and rollers love your father. We
Well,
love Lalo Guerrero. He inspired us. He inspired us
so
to
you
do.
were you aware of his Arditas too, his children's
Oh
records?
yes, absolutely. Pancho Lopez too.
Oh, so you knew that? Oh yeah, Pancho Lopez in Spanish was a hit in
Yeah,
Mexico.
Pancho
There was
Lopez.
even a
Yeah,
movie made
and
of
the
it.
Argelitas, of course.
Yeah.
So I want to mention that. I mean, Lalo Guerrero was a legend
Yeah.
amongst us.
And a lot of people didn't know that he wrote Nunca Jamás, which was a big hit for Tiro Los Panchos, and he
Mari
wrote
Marijuana, Mari Marijuana.
Marihuana Boogie,
Okay.
and he wrote
Put that in my book.
Canción Mexicana, which was a hit for Lucha Reyes and Lola Beltran.
Yeah,
So he's
no,
very rare to be a Chicano who's written standards in Mexico and children's music. And then the Pachuco stuff started getting famous down there later on.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
was recognized. As I said, we love him and we appreciate him a lot.
Oh, that's nice. So anyway, so we jammed those three times, and
And you have a film of it.
I have video of it, and
You're gonna have to show it now.
yeah, I didn't want to do it without permission from you, and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I've been sitting on it, but I'm going to edit some and put it up very soon, and I'll send you the links.
Oh, yeah, that'll be great. I'd love to see it.
I had a lot of fun doing that, yeah. So anything else did we miss? Anything else you want to talk about or mention or
Well, I mean, we can talk a lot of things,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we're missing anything.
Yeah, I mean I'm 60 years of playing you. There's a million things, but I think we hit the main topics, I believe.
there is the final vinyl.
That's what? Oh,
The
Final Vinyl.
the
Nice.
current lineup.
Do you know how many albums you guys put out, like studio and live albums?
I haven't counted them.
Oh, I
I
did.
don't
I did read where
know, 40, 45, something like that.
you guys had an album out called Live at the Topanga Corral, and it turns out it was really at the Kaleidoscope. And
Yeah,
then
but
later they
we
corrected that.
were under contract with United Artists at the time, so we had to say that that was done at the Topanga Corral before we went under contract,
Oh, I got it.
because otherwise we couldn't release that record and say live at the Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at the time, United Artists would say, "Well, that belongs to us."
Right.
So we call it live at Topanga Corral, but it's actually live at the Kaleidoscope. And later on, they corrected that, and I think there is a version of it with a correct name.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know another important thing we need to touch on is the East L.A. thing. So, and the Chicano thing. So, you were probably aware of Cannibal the Headhunters, Land of a Thousand Dances was a
Oh
big hit.
yes, they're good friends of mine. I met them. Not only that, for a while when Tommy was involved with us, Tomas Morin,
Mhm.
our friend, he
Mhm.
introduced me with all of them, and we
Okay.
got together and we actually rehearsed.
Oh,
We
nice.
were going to do a canned heat, Cannibal and the Headhunters together,
Oh, nice.
and we rehearsed some stuff. It came out really good, but we only had one rehearsal. They were not organized. They were having problems here and there with the name or with the other guys, and I don't know what happened, but we could never really get it going.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people involved in whatever they were doing. So we could never really get it going and get it together to actually finish the project we started.
That's
They did
interesting.
a few things here and there, a few gigs, but they never really
Took off
got
again.
organized
Yeah.
to continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had the talent.
Yeah. So you probably heard of some of the other East LA groups, like maybe the Premiers had a hit with Farmer John. The Midnighters were doing some
Yes,
well
the
at the time.
Midnighters. Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
Midnighters in Tijuana too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are two Midnighters. And
And
yes, I know some of them. I mentioned Question Mark and the Mysterians, even
yes.
if they are not from East L.A.
Yeah.
Samudio.
Yeah. Sam Samudio of the
Samudio from Texas,
Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. They're from Texas, and like you
Parra,
say,
yes.
but there are a lot of Chicano bands happening, here and there in the '60s.
Oh yeah, the
And
the,
of
the
course,
Blasters.
Richie Valens in '59.
Yeah, and how about the Blasters?
Oh, yeah. Well, they weren't Chicano, I don't think. Were they?
The Blazers, I'm
Oh, the
sorry.
Blazers. Yes. Did you know them?
Blazers. I met the Blazers too. I have the record.
Yeah, they're very good.
That's a good Chicano band.
They did.
And
Of
here in
course, Los
Santa Barbara,
Lobos, right?
Los
Los
Lobos,
Lobos.
of course, yeah, Los Lobos. That's the most famous one,
Yeah. Have you met them?
Yeah, no, we play with them together many times.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go. So you have an East LA connection, baby.
Yeah. As I said, I wasn't born in East LA, but almost.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Remember the Sancho show, the
Oh,
radio show?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, Sancho invited me to his show a couple of times. I went to his show, and we did a couple of shows together. We did an outdoor show out there in East LA
Hmm.
with Canned Heat.
Oh,
So
nice.
so he told me that already made me an official East LA guy.
All right.
I was part of the Sancho family, and those records that he released, those
Yeah.
CDs.
Hmm.
I don't know if you have any of them.
No.
I have the whole collection,
Oh,
and there's
nice.
Canned Heat there. We put some Canned Heat in there.
Oh, nice.
So Canned Heat should be considered also part of the East LA thing. Why not?
Plus, you played at East LA College.
We play in East LA College, and we play in a club. I don't remember the name, but it was a famous club. And Jack Constanzo was there playing the congas.
That's probably where I saw Bob Height. I don't
That's
think I was
in
at
the
the venue,
club,
but I
yes.
saw him
It was a club.
afterwards. Yeah.
And you know who Jack Constanzo was?
No, who is he?
He was a conga player of the times. Yes, he was good. And he was playing there in that club too.
Oh, I see. So you have a lot of East LA connection, man.
Islos, man.
Eastless, baby. I guess that's about it. I can't think of anything else.
Okay,
East
if you
LA.
think of anything else, we can do it again. We should do it
Yeah.
in my place so I can show you all the stuff.
Yeah, I just like to come and see the stuff, Come one of those Wednesdays and come during come to your house during the day and then go see you at the club at night, you know.
Yeah, and also you can crash in my place, man. You know, I have an extra room too, so you don't have to drive back or anything.
Okay, cool.
Think about it. First Wednesday of the month is when I play with RJ.
Okay, man, I think we covered a lot, man. Thank you very much for doing it, man.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
thank you for your interest too. I hope it comes out good. And if there's anything else you want to do, just let me know and we'll get it together.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. Talk to you soon, man. See you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah, you too.